Hi, I'm Luke Schulte. I'm a field agronomist for Beck's Hybrids in Southern Ohio. And today we're standing at the Southern Illinois site where we're doing our virtual Herbicide Insight Day training. And what we're looking at in this particular study is the effect in which we lay our foundational residual herbicide component, Authority Supreme, in this study, and the effects that it has in overall plant establishment or soybean plant establishment, and the effects it has on weed control. You can see to my right, you can see that the water hemp pressure and our weed pressure here is very profound and it's very dramatic, which challenges us, but gives us a great opportunity to learn which of these treatments and how they effectively manage weeds, but also what we can expect as we take these to the farm. So in this study, we have 3 different treatments besides the control. To my left is our pre-emerge treatment. It's our pre-emerge treatment post-planting, but pre-emerge. As we work our way down, we get further away from planting or further out in front of planting. So we also had a pre-plant incorporated treatment where we worked it in with the Salford. And then the furthest to the left is our treatment that we applied 3 weeks ahead of planting. And what you'll see the trend is the further in front of planting in which our herbicide treatment was laid down, we have a couple things going on. The further ahead, we have a higher plant stand establishment. The same thing that's challenging emergence behind me to my left here is challenging a little bit of stand establishment on soybeans, is also the same thing that's allowing us to have more effective and longer lasting weed control. The closer that proximity is to planting, the higher the persistency rate is of the herbicide. But the important thing also is to note each of these treatments can work in any situation. However, the key is to know what are your weed challenges and some of the tendencies of those weeds. How long do they emerge, and specifically, when do they start to emerge? So on the far left, that treatment that occurred 3 weeks ahead of planting, it has a fit. It fits very well into a soil and into a situation where the main challenge is your summer annuals that emerge early, like giant ragweed. Fits very well into that situation because you lay down your residual component and it sustains itself as we get into crop establishment and crop emergence. Now, one thing though to consider with the middle treatment of pre-plant incorporated is think about where we possibly have laid the majority of that herbicide. We tilled it about 2 inches deep. Generally, when you till 2 inches deep, you're going to incorporate the herbicide about half the depth of tillage. So that's laying a very high volume and a persistent layer of residual right there where we're planting beans, right there in that imbibition zone. So one danger is if it coincides with a decent amount of water intake or water imbibition, then that can challenge that soybean to metabolize that and establish the stand. We got away with it this year. Some years we won't be so fortunate. Then as we work our way towards me, you can see this pre-emerge pass is actually the cleanest, but it's the most reduced stand when it comes to soybean stand establishment too. And that's because that persistency of that herbicide is the greatest now, but there's 3 weeks difference in timing from the earliest treatment to this treatment. We don't worry about having a little bit thinner stands than we desire when it comes to soybeans because they do have a tremendous ability to compensate, unlike corn. They can put on more nodes and all those things that can kind of compensate if they don't have the competition from their neighbors. In this treatment to my left, the one thing that we may have to consider, if you lose your ability to use products that have a burn down in a no-till situation and we lose the ability to provide that plant back like we desire, then that may be necessary to include an early burn down in that residual layered component. And vice versa. On that first treatment, oftentimes if that early treatment is laid out there 3 weeks, that turns into 4 to 5 weeks ahead of planting. Oftentimes it may require an application just prior to crop emergence so that we can at least start clean. Remember this, the biggest aid to any weed control program doesn't come from a jug. It's shade, it's a competitive crop. And as we get closer to crop establishment, the persistency of that herbicide goes up, as well as our overall longevity of sustainable weed control.